breaking news on Seattle Red.
Welcome back to the Jason Rand Show. James Comey has officially been indicted on 2 of 3 counts that were sought by the prosecution. 1 count of making false statements and 1 count of obstruction of justice. This is an interesting turn of events in Virginia. The U.S. attorney making the announcement just moments ago. Earlier in the week, we started to hear some of the rumblings that this was coming, that he was going to be indicted for, in particular, for making false statements. And what I thought at the time was going to be curious to see the difference of opinion, or maybe the way that they tackle this in left-wing media, because on the one hand, you're going to have the people who pretend that somehow this is an abuse of power by the Trump administration going after his enemies, and the people who will say this is outrageous, Trump is just going after his adversaries, were the people who were saying lock Donald Trump up and we have to charge him even more. And those charges that were leveled against him and some of the judgments have not gone so well for the Democrats pursuing them. Ask Fani Willis. Ask Letitia James. But on the other hand, you're going to have people who really don't like James Comey on the left. People kind of forget this. James Comey was loathed before he was celebrated briefly. He was celebrated for being so anti-Trump, but he was loathed for his involvement in putting a little bit of a shadow over the Hillary Clinton campaign with his announcement that he wasn't going to indict, despite then showing what had happened and why he probably should have indicted or recommended.
He basically blamed him for losing.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair to Hillary Clinton, she's not wrong to put criticism on James Comey. That clearly did have some influence on the election. And it was odd because I heard this morning Joy Behar, of all people, on The View was all like, yeah, I hope they do indict James Comey over the Hillary Clinton stuff. So my guess is you're still going to get more people who claim that this is somehow an abuse of power, that this is somehow outrageous. John Bolton is expected to be indicted tomorrow at the earliest, or maybe we'll get something later tonight. I would love to hear that. John Bolton for mishandling classified information, it sounds like, or leaking classified information. At the end of the day, here's a question. Is someone above the law or not? Did the left believe that when they were screaming about it as a way to target Donald Trump, including novel cases against him so that they can go after him? You either believe that or you don't. And of course, they don't actually believe that. They believe people are above the law. But you all said it, so now you're going to have to live it. Sorry, this whole anytime someone gets indicted for a crime is not going to be an abuse of power going after enemies. If that's the case, do they acknowledge that Donald Trump was the target of the Department of Justice because he was an enemy of Joe Biden and the Democratic Party? It's not like all of a sudden they're going to say, look, I'm the first to admit this. During the Democrats' reign of terror, we did this to Donald Trump, but we have to stop this cycle today. If they said that, kudos to them, and I will give them a pat on the back. But they're not going to do that. And yet that's precisely how they acted. They wanted to go after Donald Trump because he was their enemy. And they've set up a system, an environment in which anyone who gets indicted who happens to be either a Democrat or happens to be anti-Trump is not being indicted for a crime, but being indicted for being an enemy. Are we to believe there's not a single person who gets indicted who might be anti-Trump who deserves to be indicted? Not a single every single one is a victim of an overzealous authoritarian. And you do realize that being indicted doesn't mean you're going to jail or be found guilty of anything. You're still innocent until proven guilty. And generally speaking, unless you get a jury in New York, you have a high likelihood of either coming to some sort of settlement, some sort of, plea deal, or you're found not guilty. Now, if you're found guilty, it turns out you broke a law, doesn't it? And that'll be the interesting thing about all this, whether it's James Comey or John Bolton or whomever. They get indicted, they get put in front of a jury or a judge, whatever it is, and then let's say they're found guilty. Does that mean the people who say that this is outrageous will step out and say, okay, I thought it was outrageous, but obviously the case was made, person did commit a crime, a jury saw all the information and decided, this guy is guilty of sin. You think they're going to do that? Say no. Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah, they're not. They're not going to do it at all. Donald Trump tweeted out or Truth Socialed, Pam Bondi is doing a great job as Attorney General of the United States. She's very careful, very smart, loves our country, but needs a tough prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia, like my recommendation, Lindsay Halligan, to get things moving. So, one step closer to, Nazi Germany to the left, and to the rest of us, one step closer to going after really bad people who are accused of breaking the law. Y'all didn't say a thing on the left when you threw Trump allies in jail. I don't recall any of that. I don't recall any of the complaints of, well, man, this just sends the wrong message. This is an abuse of power. Even if the guy is guilty of something, we don't like the optics of the president of the United States targeting, his Republican adversaries. I didn't hear any of that. And how many people were thrown in jail or charged and had to plead down from the Trump administration?
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Peter Navarro.
Say again?
Peter Navarro.
That was the one I was just about to say. Like, of all the claims of impropriety, that one was, my God, so specious. Right? That one was just kind of outrageously hollow. And yet they granted it was medium security, thankfully, but still, he should have had to endure that. They went after him. And I didn't hear anyone complain. I didn't hear Miles Anonymous from that New York Times post, Miles Taylor. Don't recall him saying anything then. But now he's just outraged on X, listening to the Jason Rand Show.